Redemption.
You weren't kidding about playing that song. You weren't kidding about that.
LSU. Say it when you do. Tigers. Tigers. Natty.
I will say, I think last night, I really appreciated that I was a part of that show. I really appreciated being a part of that. That might have been the happiest I have ever seen you, considering how much we yell at each other on this show.
Okay, here's the truth. Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah.
Outside of 3 days in my life, outside of both of my kids being born and the day that I married my wife, there are 4 other days in my life that mean the most to me. The one happened in 2004 when LSU won a natty. They did it in 2007. The worst day of my life happened in 2011 when LSU lost to Alabama. And then in the last 4 months, LSU has won back-to-back natties. And what probably is the pinnacle of college baseball in LSU has won another. So it's been a hell of a ride, to be honest. Look, in all seriousness, Joe, I told you this. This will be my 14th and 15th show in 14 days, right?
Yes.
So to be real with you, it's been a lot. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks. Like, I am exhausted, but now it's football season. Now Daddy's back. Okay. We hadn't been able to do shows. Daddy's back. So
that was the one thing that I was going to say is that you guys are on a very scary run right now of national championships, of really good sports programs. The clock is ticking for old Brian Kelly. That's going to be the whole storyline the whole offseason is the next guy.
Look, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Internally, does he have really any pressure? No. Okay, like if he doesn't win a natty, he's not getting fired, okay?
Yeah.
However, I am a superstitious human being.
The LSU fan base also seems to be very superstitious.
Cajun, Creole. I mean, you got 2 coaches, Joe, that in year 2 has won a natty. I mean, and they lost on Saturday. My Jesus. But we'll see. But look, we're not here to talk about LSU yet, but it was a great run. Thank you for your assistance last night. Of
course.
We're here to so Joe, for me, other than when we talk, we're going to talk obviously LSU baseball on my next show, but it's football season now, baby. Welcome back. Doesn't it feel good to be back?
Yeah, it feels. I mean, I've been locked in football mode all 365 days of the year, Blake. The grind hasn't stopped.
I'm locked in. I'm not locked in.
But we're like getting to that point where I think we're 60 or so days or something. We're in that stretch of until we get to week 0, dude. We are gonna blow through July, and then we're just gonna be in crunch time of final weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, because most camps,
headlines, everything.
Well, SEC media days, Big 10 media days, Big 12 media days are in a couple of weeks. We'll talk on the Big 12 here tonight as well. But I mean, Joe, it's going to be here before you know it. I mean, look, it's starting to get to nitty gritty time. I mean, it's hot outside. It's hotter than a witch's titty. Okay. So, I mean, you never heard that before? Well, you're not really from the South.
No. I've heard camel titties.
It's hotter than 2 rats having sex in a wool sock. You've never heard that?
No, I've not heard that one either.
Tell me you hadn't grown up in the South without telling me you didn't grow up in the South.
Couldn't have grown up in a place further from the South. I grew up in New Jersey.
In
Rhode Island went even further north. Yeah, no.
There's 2 guys that I talked to. I don't know their names. They do a podcast, and they're from New Jersey. It's like it's the guys on YouTube that do like the blind recommended order, like which foods are better. Rate this blindly, and they're like, Philly cheesesteak. I'm going to put it at 4. I'll have to send it to you. But those guys
send me that.
Okay. Anyway, I would be remiss, and I know I see Roderick just posted this, but we talked about this off air.
Yeah.
Some crazy news coming out of the break or coming into the show here. Ryan Mallett, former Arkansas quarterback, passing away in a drowning accident. At least that's what's being reported.
Mm.
Man, first Peyton Hillis almost losing his life and saving his niece and his son. Then Ryan Mallett. I want to remember him. I don't want to talk about somebody's death.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you remember about Ryan Mallett?
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, everybody knows I'm on the younger side, so I don't really remember a ton about his college career. Obviously, I was aware and had watched games that he had played in, but most of my memories are just the way that he handled himself as a New England Patriot. He really felt like the true embodiment of being a New England Patriot. And I think that it was very fitting.
Right.
I didn't even know that he got into coaching, but it was very fitting that he ended up being a high school head coach. And I almost wonder if, if this hadn't happened, what his career and his trajectory would have been as a coach, because he felt like he had the perfect personality, demeanor, and background from all that.
Well, look, there was, I don't want to say my golden years of watching football, but it definitely was my golden years of watching football. I still think I got a lot of football golden years left in me. But the dude had a bazooka, man. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I remember the epic battles that he had with LSU, and that dude could just rip it. He could grip it and rip it.
Big, strong runner too.
Well, and he wasn't overly athletic, but he was just physical. I remember, I remember getting, I think it was Phil Steele's magazine. Do you remember Phil's? You know who I'm talking about with Phil Steele?
Yeah.
I remember them talking about a transfer from Michigan, and I'm reading it, and my dad, who doesn't watch a lot of football, saying if he's not Tom Brady, he ain't shit. And then next year LSU lost, I believe, to him. And I was like, well, he's pretty good. But nevertheless, yeah, man, I mean, it's just ultimate sad news. And it just kind of goes to show you that, I mean, Joe, he was 35 years old. I mean, life is so precious. Like, man, that's me in 2 years. Like I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom the idea of that happening, much less just, man, it's sad. I hope that there's no foul play involved, and
right.
him and his family. So
yeah, prayers to his family for sure.
No doubt. All right, so we do got a big show in store for you. So we talked about that we're going to mention the Big 12. Also, Michigan. What are they doing?
Corny coaching gimmicks that we've got going on for Michigan. And I mean, we're going to talk about it in a second, but that had to be one of the goofiest headlines that we saw during the offseason so far.
It's definitely one of the more goofy ones. Like,
yeah,
I saw that today. I was like, okay, I didn't actually fall asleep until 2:30 this morning after the national championship. I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm reading this. Like, okay, there's just no way. And then I refresh the page, and there it is again. I'm like, what is Harbaugh doing? So we'll let y'all know what happened there. We'll talk about that off the top of the break. Also, we'll do a little Auburn deep dive. Our buddy, I guess you could say, Jason Campbell joined me about. So I'm in a purple haze right now. I don't remember what day it was. I think it was last
Tuesday.
Okay, so last Tuesday, we got to talk to Auburn with him, and then today we're going to do an Auburn deep dive. Listen, I think that they have some talent. Okay, I thought they got some good pieces out of the portal, and the offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, etc. I don't think I'm not high on Auburn as most people are, but I am high on Hugh Freeze as an offensive play caller, which I do think that buys them a win or two that they're more than likely not supposed to win. I think that again, I've said this so many times, their schedule is the most brutal schedule in the country. In a month, they'll play Alabama and Georgia, so that's not even fair to remotely anybody. So we'll talk on that, and we'll break them down as well. Anything else that I missed that we'll cover here?
We're also going to do a little bit of a Big 12 preview, not the sexiest of conferences, but we're going to be talking about expectations for the top teams because pretty top-heavy conference.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes. Yeah.
If listen, well, first off, I'm going to go off a little on Texas tonight, okay? Sarkisian better watch himself. So deep sources. I'm not playing around. Sark better watch his mouth, okay?
Why? What's he saying?
He's out on the recruiting trail doing some pretty shitty things. Like, negatively recruiting against multiple schools. And I'm just going to tell you,
that always bites you in the ass.
It always bites you in the ass if you start negatively recruiting teams and states. Be careful what you wish for, but we'll talk on the Big 12. What a Rudy Boo. I mean, there's so many stories that I've heard on Steve Sarkisian. One of these days, I'm going to let one rip. You know one of them. I think I've told you one of them that can't be repeating. But he better chill. All right. So let's do this. Let's talk about our good friends, though, over at betonline.ag. If it's your first time joining us, welcome. If you're watching this on Fubo TV, also welcome. Follow us on all of our socials. If you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Hit the like and share. Over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bells. We'll be, now that it's football season officially, we'll be producing a crap load of content, I'm assuming, over the next couple months, and especially during the football season. But let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot to talk about. We do that next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. But Texas isn't. All right. We probably should have done the Big 12. I forgot that we actually had that because, like I told you, I'm in a purple haze. But, Joe,
we only have 2 more conferences to do, so we just have to kind of get them.
ACC and
no, we got 3 more. After this one, we've got 2 more. We've got ACC, we've got Pac-12, and then we're just full team previews until we're in that final month.
Right. I'm really looking forward to the ACC. I got to be real with you.
Really?
Yeah, because I do think that they had 2 teams that potentially could make the playoff.
I just feel like there's more competition, way more competition in the Pac-12. There is going to be a knife fight for that top spot.
Them too, but here's my thing with the Pac-12. How many years in a row are they going to cannibalize themselves and get into the playoff before I think that they're serious, right? So
that's true. That's true.
Like, I mean, and here's another thing, Joe. We just talked about USC in our I think Saturday in our last deep dive. Okay, are they serious? Like, do you trust that back 7? Or
no,
do you trust that back 5? Because I don't. It's going to be interesting to see, but we'll obviously let's not get ahead of ourselves and stay on topic. But today, speaking about milk and cookies, okay, Harbaugh's doing something really weird. Do you want to let our viewers know what Harbaugh is doing? Because I don't even really understand what he's attempting to do.
So Jim Harbaugh, for anyone who hasn't played the sport of football or maybe hasn't played college football, it is a sport filled with corny gimmicks on a week-to-week basis. Head coaches do the corniest things to get the attention of their players, to get them focused, to get them locked in. And so what he is doing is he has been naming various practice periods. I'm trying to pull up the exact tweet that I sent to you. But he's been naming the practice periods.
Like beat Georgia.
Beat Ohio State and beat Georgia is what he's been doing. And the funniest part about this is those are the 2 teams that they've highlighted. The team that they lost to was TCU. That's the team that they maybe should be. I'm not saying that they should be worried about them, but why are we setting our sights on? I get Ohio State, but why are you setting your sights there on Georgia when you can't even get past your first playoff game?
I kind of get it. This is the only thing that I get, okay? The only thing that I get is the likelihood, the real likelihood that they play TCU again is not that high.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
And I think here's what I think happened. Okay. I think that they're the reigning defending national champs. And so, Joe, I'll just be real with you. Every team that I've ever played for, okay, like everyone, whether it be at Southeastern, Frank, wherever, I always had, at least this was my mentality. I always knew that they were out. Like, let me give an example. There was Stephen F. Austin when I was a freshman, okay? We were up to on them. I want to say, I think it was 42-14. Okay. They came back to beat us. Long story short, I put a picture of their defensive lineman in my locker, every one of them. Okay. So every day that I lifted, because of all the shit that we went through that day. Okay.
It's a little corny.
You call it what it is. But you know what happened the next time?
Yeah.
Daddy took it to that ass. Okay, so I do think that there's a mental thing about that. Now, is it corny?
Yes.
Okay, yes. But if it works, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When this is the God's honest truth. You know what I thought about when I read that Harbaugh did that? I thought of what was it, Rocky IV, when he had the picture in the mirror of Drago? Like. Yes. That's the mentality of like what I think that he's trying to do.
Like, I get it. You're trying to motivate your team. Like, our example of this when I was at Rhode Island, my freshman year team was terrible. We lost 80 something to like 6 to James Madison. Oh, dude, we got pushed in. So, I mean, James Madison is a really good G5 program already.
80?
They hung 80 on us. It was so bad that at the beginning of the fourth quarter, they were taking knees at the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was that bad. Yeah. Oh, we got our ass kicked. But if I remember correctly, the following season, that was also, by the way, my second ever start my freshman year. But the following season during practice, we put that score up on the scoreboard at practice, and we still lost to them. I just think that like this, it doesn't mean anything. Like doing these stupid gimmicks are just practice, get your guys focused. I get having like the acronyms and stuff and getting your guys ready in the weight room and keeping everybody in line. And I understand maybe the beat Ohio State thing, but like just when you do these stupid gimmick things and things don't go well during the season, which I'm not saying is going to happen for Michigan, it is very easy to lose a locker room when you're doing these gimmicks. It's very easy to.
Well, okay, let me just say this. So I read, what do you call it when someone writes a book about you? Was it an autobiography or a
biography? Autobiography is if you read it about yourself.
Okay, so I read a biography one time. And let me look. One thing that people don't know about me is, dude, I read. Now, I don't know all the words, but I try really hard to read a book like at least a month, okay? But most of them are like audiobooks. But I read this biography about 2 years ago, and it kind of flipped a switch with me mentally. There was a guy that was in the Coast Guard, okay, from 1950, I think maybe 1950 to 1954, okay? He talked about how this person, okay, and it'll make sense in a minute, but this person would fantasize his home's golf course every day. Every day. He would fantasize in teeing off on 1, getting to the rough on 5, going down the back 9, getting to the hole, going over the pond on 17. Mm-hmm. Well, he comes back from the Coast Guard, okay, and he goes and plays his home course. He shoots a 15 under par. The guy's name was Arnold Palmer. And Arnold Palmer was asked about, like, hey, man, how did you become such a good golfer? Like, and he would talk about him fantasizing and flipping a mental switch that because he wanted to be a golfer his whole life, right? But him mentally flipping a switch to like, this is what I do here. This is what I do here. This is what I do here. And thinking about every single process that it changed for him. I get what you're saying in reference to it being corny. But if you look at it at the surface level,
okay,
yes, it will be corny. if you look at it from a business CEO, like this is how I envision Harbaugh. Hey guys, you've been to the playoffs twice. There's a really good chance you're going to make this is what he's really trying to say. You've been to the playoffs the last 2 years. There's a really good chance you're going to take it the third time. Well, the best team in the SEC right now, put Alabama or Georgia's face on it. We don't care whose face is on that. Go take it to them every day. And those kinds of things, for me, I don't mind them. I think it's the person who is delivering the message, okay, where it comes off wrong. I don't mind it though, Joe. I gotta be real with you.
That's fair. And I mean, let's be honest with ourselves right now. You're an offensive lineman. You're going to buy into things like that. I was a long snapper. I showed up to practice and I was like, when's practice over? Like I'm not showing up to practice pissed off, ready to hit people. I'm not showing up to practice.
Yeah, because you don't hit anybody in practice ever.
That's not true. I hit some people.
Joe, on a scale of 1 to 10, how many people in a week do you hit in practice?
I mean, during punt period, there's a lot of contact.
How many? How much?
Every single rep. There's 5. I only get 5. I only get 5 reps.
Joe, I put my hand in 3 different places, and you're going to sit here and tell me.
That's my That's my point, though. Is that like I'm not showing up to practice looking to get motivated. It's like I got to get I got class after this. I got to get through punt period. You know, what do I need to do to get through punt period?
I got to get through punt period. That's it.
That was all my motivation was.
Okay. Well, we would go through individual drills, sled drills, board drills.
I used to watch the offensive line do this.
Okay, well then you got to go run. Okay, run scheme. Usually it's the front 5 tight end and the front 7 of the defense. Then you go team period, and then maybe especially during the summer, you would scrimmage. And back then, when men were men, you would go 2-a-days. Joe, I remember 2-a-days. Okay, morning.
I had a hell of a time watching you guys.
That's my
very
point.
Entertaining. Exactly.
Mentally. What people don't get. Okay, we're spending way too much time on this than I thought that we would, but I do think this is an interesting conversation, though.
Okay.
I think mentally, you got to learn how to flip that switch.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. And that's what I'm saying. I understand.
Okay.
It makes sense.
All right, you want to get into Auburn?
Yeah,
you know who I don't think is going to flip the switch?
Auburn.
Joe, they're a really interesting team. Like when I look at Auburn, I find them very, very intriguing. They got pieces. They got some dudes. They have frontline NFL dudes right now, in my opinion. I think they got some offensive linemen. Auburn's always got some D linemen. I think that they got a competent quarterback, not a great one, not a good one, a competent quarterback, and Peyton Thorne. What does Robbie Ashford come into? I don't mind Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze is an offensive wizard. I think that man could play Dr. Strange in a movie if he's calling offensive plays. He's such a wizard. I don't think they have enough. I look around the SEC right now, and Joe, I don't know if they did get some weapons on the outside, but how is that going to I understand that like you had USC last year and LSU breaking a lot of pieces, but those teams had like a lot of dudes, right? Like they already had a lot of built-in dudes. I just don't know if Auburn has enough to get over any kind of hump that they think that they can get over.
So here's the thing for me with Auburn. When you say that they don't have enough for what? Enough to go 500, enough to compete for to win the SEC. What is the middle?
I think that the that's a great question. I should have prefaced that
because like the expectation that we have is, I think, a lot lower or pretty.
No, I think it's a lot higher. I think that Auburn's perception is that their ceiling's 9-3, and
that's
just
not
don't.
Happening.
Well. Don't say it's not. Don't say it's not, because listen.
Okay.
Auburn is look, I told you I'm superstitious. Last 3 coaches in year 1 at Auburn don't suck. They don't suck. You know what actually has happened? Everybody and their mama has written them off. And you know what they did? Both of them, Malzahn and Chizik, they went to a national title. So I don't think that this team is. Don't get it twisted.
No. Yeah,
okay, don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they have more dudes. Like if they're at the end of the year, if Auburn's 8-4.
Look, here's how I see it. I think you bring up a really good point on the front, on their offensive and defensive line. They've got the pretty good bodies. They went after the offensive line in the portal, man.
Especially in the interior.
Yeah, Avery Jones that they added, Dylan Wade, Gunnar Britton. If at least two of those guys end up being starting offensive linemen, that's a huge boost. Those are guys that are coming from other opportunities that have talent that can step in and start for this Auburn team.
Agreed.
Auburn last year's roster was terrible. Like, that's where the expectation and the progression comes into play.
Was the roster terrible or was the coaching terrible?
It was poorly coached. They had no energy. They had no desire to compete on a week-to-week basis. The way that they played against Penn State is a perfect example of that Brian Harsin was not getting them ready. And then most importantly, he wasn't recruiting. He wasn't attacking the portal. He wasn't bringing guys in. If anything, more guys were leaving. This team is better on paper. Their roster is better than the one that we saw last year.
I agree.
I'm not saying, though, that's where the expectation, I think, is different than what Auburn fans are hoping for. There is that hope that it is like Malzahn or Chizik, where they can be competing for a national championship and they can go out there, they can catch Alabama on a down year. That is not going to happen. If this team goes 7-5, that is a good building block for year two to then have a really good recruiting cycle, another really good portal haul, and then really compete. But 7-5 is the best that I see this team, because I can tell you right now on their schedule, they are not beating Georgia. They're not beating Ole Miss. They're not beating Alabama, and they're probably going to lose two stupid games in there that they're not supposed to lose. 7-5 is a realistic number to give them.
So let's look at their schedule.
Okay.
They start off the season with UMass. Win. I think that they go to Cal and win. Don't play with me. Yeah. Come on, don't play with me. I think they beat Samford. Here's another truth. Okay. I think that they could. I'm not saying they will. I think if they start off 3-0 and they got to go on the road in their first SEC matchup, I think that there's a possibility that they beat A&M. Like, what A&M team are we going to get? Are we going to get the typical Jimbo team? Or are we going to get a team that's actually, worth their damn and salt? And it's like, okay, well, Jimbo, although he's got his quirks, he did figure it out offensively, because we know defensively last year that they had dudes. I still think at the current moment that is a toss-up. Here's the thing for me with Auburn. They go to Georgia. They got Georgia. They go to LSU. They have Ole Miss. Okay? That is a brutal 3 weeks. Right? Like, that is a brutal 3 weeks. And not only time. And the Ole Miss game is a little bit of a revenge game. So let me just throw this out there. Let me throw this out there to you. I think within the first 6 weeks, I think they could go 4-2. I think that Hugh Freeze is going to have enough tricks in his bag. And look, we'll talk about Ole Miss at some point. Up front, Ole Miss about to get that ass waxed. Okay, they are not as good as Auburn up front. Book it that Daddy told you.
I don't. Wait. Are you saying their offensive line going up against Ole Miss's defensive line? I don't agree with that. I think that Ole Miss is. Their defensive line is a lot better than people give it credit for. And we talked about it on this show. Ole Miss has an underrated defensive line.
Okay, well, how about giving up 200 yards per rush per SEC game?
It was a younger group. They have two very talented edge rushers. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they get their asses waxed.
Let me just say this. They're going to play up, and all the bag of tricks are going to be out against Ole Miss. How about that?
Fair point.
Okay. If they did start off 4-2, and even if they, Joe, were 3-3, they could beat Mississippi State. They could beat Vanderbilt. I still think they could beat Arkansas. Then they got New Mexico State. It's not as brutal as you think. It starts off more brutal than the back end of that schedule. Joe, if they start off 3-3, they could, I'm telling you, they could easily get to 8 wins. I could see them as an 8-win team. I could also see them as a 6-win team too, but I think they get to that 8-win mark. I really think that they can do that.
Okay, I'm gonna use
my logic against me.
I love you. I love doing this. I'm gonna use your logic on old shows against you.
Okay.
One of the things that is discussed often on this program that you and I fight about is the fact that the SEC is the hardest conference in all of sports, which I completely agree with.
Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. That's my whole point. 7-5 for your first year after having a terrible roster, having not a very good couple recruiting classes under Brian Harsin, to go 7-5 in your first year in the SEC. That's a really damn good year. Auburn fans don't want to hear that, but that's a really damn good year in my opinion.
Joe, what are you arguing about? I just said I just had one more win.
I know.
We already know that they're going to have 4. Hold on.
I'm not so much arguing with you. I'm not so much arguing with you, but I'm just using old logic to prove my point that, like, I don't see them going over 7-5. I think it'd be really, really hard of a stretch for them to go over 7-5.
Name their losses. Georgia, LSU, Alabama. That's 3.
Theoretically, they could also.
They're losing to Ole Miss and A&M.
Yeah, I think that's theoretically quite possible for them to lose those games.
2 of those teams. I'm telling you, they're going to beat 2 of those teams.
Well, let me ask you this though before we do.
Hold on. Now I'm going to use your own words against you.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You said Jimbo's a hack.
So I have said that.
How are you going to come out here and say that they're going to lose to? You said A&M was going 4-8.
Yeah, okay, but that doesn't mean that they can't beat Auburn. That doesn't mean that they can't pull one out against Auburn.
If they go 4-8, that means they're winless in the SEC.
I didn't say that they go 0-12, but I'm saying wait. That doesn't.
Yeah, it does add up. You have 8 conference games.
Who's their non-conference? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember off the top.
A bunch of Rudy Poos, I think.
Look, I'm
Hopefully
not saying
it's not Appalachian State.
I don't think I had nice one. I don't think I had them at 4-8. I might have had them at 4-8. They can beat Auburn. That's what I was trying to get at, is that I'm giving them 2 extra losses in there for games that they're supposed to win that they end up losing, that they're underprepared for.
Maybe, but see, here's the thing though. We don't put enough of a premium on coaching on this show. We don't. Like, we legitimately do not put enough premium on coaching. Okay? Coaching is a big deal. Whether Hugh Freeze is on a flip phone calling hookers or whether he's coaching football, the bottom line is that dude can coach. Let me tell you something else, Joe. He beat Arkansas last year with Liberty. Now you want to come in here and tell me with better athletes and better recruits that he can't take down Arkansas. Hold on. He can't take down Arkansas again. He can't take down A&M again. That he couldn't take down Mississippi State Van. They can get to 8 wins. If they can beat Arkansas with Liberty, you best damn believe with Auburn they can clap some cheeks.
I don't think that's a bad point, but I still really truly believe that 7-5 is an accomplishment in year one.
It might be an accomplishment, but I think he's going to overachieve if that's the goal. If the goal is 7-5, I think he overachieves.
I feel like, though, that Auburn fans, as you said earlier, the goal and the assumption is that they're going to go 9-3, that they can accomplish and get to 9-3. But again, if they go, I think that they can run the table and they are good enough and well coached enough to beat any middle tier to low end team in the SEC in 2023, without a doubt. They are capable of doing that. But I just have questions in a lack of confidence that they can accomplish that against the top teams on their schedule. They're guaranteed losses in my eyes. And then some of those middling teams. Texas A&M's a question mark. They're either 4-8 or they're 8-4. There's no in between for them.
Yeah, we'll see, man. But I do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, let me ask this before we do it and moving on to the Big 12. How much do you think Peyton Thorne factors into all this? Do you think he's good enough to actually get them there? And I know we did a little bit of a dive on him when he transferred, but with everything around him, is he good enough?
All right, you can't. So number one, take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm going to put myself out there a little bit in just a thought process. I don't know if this is going to be right. Now, I want to preface this by saying I think Peyton Thorne's going to start, okay? I'm not saying Peyton Thorne's going to start. Buddy, if they can find a way to work on Robbie Ashford's accuracy, because, look, he is a damn good baseball player. He's a damn good thrower of the football. What they want to do is built by Robbie Ashford. I saw Robbie Ashford last year do some things against some athletes, LSU, Alabama, etc. And he kind of put those dudes in a blender. Okay. Like that dude was hitting the B button if he was playing Xbox. Okay. He was hitting that spin move. What? Like his name was Chris Berman. Do I think Peyton Thorne starts and gets them to like an 8-4 because he's a veteran? Yes. Do I think that they're going to have some packages for Robbie Ashford? Also, yes.
You love athletic quarterbacks. I'm starting to realize that more and more now that you just
name one right now. Name one right now in the NFL that's worth a damn. That's just a pocket dude.
That very few do.
I'm not talking about like old school dudes. I'm not talking about the Brady's, but Brady's retired. But I'm talking about like you got to be able to move.
Yes, but the problem that we face in college football compared to the crop that starts or competes for starting jobs in the NFL is
able to move now in college.
Yeah, you do, but there's just such a wide gap between the guys that are successful and the guys that are just really athletic. And so
can I give you another hot take? You know why Alabama didn't get to a natty last year?
Why?
I don't think Bryce ran enough. I think Bryce sat in the pocket a little too long and scrambled to try to look downfield more than like what you saw from Stetson, more than what you saw from J.J. McCarthy, more than what you even and look, here's the question that I always had. Why was everybody ripping alive C.J. Stroud when Bryce Young was doing the same damn thing?
Because he was far less indecisive than C.J. Stroud was.
You know why can I make another hot take? So was Bryce Young, but the reason nobody said anything about Bryce was because he was on the move when he was doing it.
Yeah, look, he had a lot more decisiveness and quick decision making than C.J. Stroud.
I'm not saying that he didn't, but I'm not saying he didn't. But you know what? Pop on that Tennessee film. And you're going to sit out here and tell me that Tennessee had a world-beating defense? You're going to sit out here and tell me, and then look, it might pain me to say it, you mean to tell me that LSU did?
So do you think, though, that Peyton Thorne can't move well enough? I don't think that his lack of mobility might hold him back a little bit?
Well, here's the thing. The dude can move a little.
He's fine.
He's fine. But, man, I think my man going to get killed.
I think so. Like that's part of it. As good as their offensive line can be in 2023, it could be one of the better offensive lines in the SEC. I just think he's painfully average. And I was excited about the transfer. I think he gets them somebody who's a little bit more steady and consistent. But I would argue steady and consistent gets you to 7-5, 8-4. It doesn't get you further than that. It will never get you higher than that because you need a game changer like Jaden Daniels, like Stetson Bennett.
I'm going to rebuttal. Okay, well, you just answered the question. If you have good enough play calling, you can minimize his deficiencies.
Yes, but you also need the help from receivers.
No, if they run the ball for 170 to 185, if they run the ball for 170 to 185 yards a game, they're an 8-win team. Did you know that a team that's
done, but
do you know that a team in the SEC, well, first off, they got some interior. Look, okay. All right. Okay. Y'all think every year this always happens. Someone tries to tell me, I say, hey, here's a sneaky offensive line. Everybody says, Blake, you're an idiot. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the season rolls around and mid-October, they're smacking that ass. I can't say the last part, but they're smacking that ass.
It's a fair point.
Listen to your boy. They gonna run the football at an effective clip, and you better be ready for it.
I mean, Jarquez Hunter's an underrated running back, and they also added Brian Beatty.
He's not even on the team, right? He's not on the team right now.
Yeah, that's the question mark. Brian Beatty, they add in the portal, and I think that he is a good option if he ends up taking over.
Jarquez just needs to stop making sex videos.
I still don't really understand that. What happened with that?
What's worse, Jarquez Hunter or Zion Williamson?
Well, okay, but Zion stuff's weird because he's getting called out by girls and stuff like that. And
just one girl, really.
I also mess around with porn stars is weird. I don't know why I would never do that.
Jimmy G went to a Super Bowl the year that he was married or he was dating that girl.
He took he took her on one date. I don't think he was seeing her.
But he still went to the Super Bowl.
He did go to the Super Bowl. He's got some juice. But what happened with Jarquez? I still don't really understand the whole Jarquez.
Remember the fake Twitter profile and said if you want the sex tape of Jarquez Hunter.
So someone was blackmailing
Somebody was blackmailing him.
So why does that? What I just don't understand like that. Like why is he in trouble for that?
Well, here's the thing: the athletic administration had the tape, so there must have been something pretty bad on there for them to release him. You know,
we'll see what happens with him. He's a great running back.
Let's see. All right, you want to move into the Big 12 right quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So listen, actually, you know what? Let's talk about our good friends over at BetOnline one more time. Don't go anywhere. Let's reset real quick.
Okay.
We're going to come back and talk to Big 12. I am about to rip Sark. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to wait for AYS. But I'm going to talk on Sark. Sark's doing some nasty stuff and why I think it's not going to help him on the field. We'll talk about that next.
All right.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. Last year, for our boys, Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12. They will be going over to the SEC, but we're breaking down the Big 12 here tonight as just a whole conference. Joe, there is a lot of buzz surrounding this Texas Tech team. A lot of buzz surrounding this Texas Tech team. But, man, here's the truth. Don't nobody on planet Earth know who's coming out the Big 12. Everybody keeps saying Texas, keeps saying Oklahoma, and every year everybody falls flat on their face when they pick one of those two. I have no idea who's going to win the Big 12 at all.
I can tell you who's going to win it.
Why is it going to be Kansas State?
You know what?
You love Kansas State way too much. And
here's my thing.
For preface, you did tell the people you did not tell me that you were going to pick Kansas State either.
I didn't tell you. You completely read my mind. Look, here's my thought. Texas has all the potential to run the table, win the conference, have no obstacles on the path to accomplishing that. They absolutely do. But do we trust Quinn Ewers? Do we trust Steve Sarkisian to get there? That is a very difficult task for them to not F up as bad as they have over the past couple of years. I can't trust them. Oklahoma, I think, could do some legitimate damage because they pulled a lot of talented players in the portal, especially Deshaun McCullough, who is very explosive edge rusher from Indiana. But I look at Kansas State not having lost too many players. Deuce Vaughn is a significant loss that they're going to have to deal with. Who was one of the best running backs in all of college football.
God, he was such an awesome player, dude.
So fun to watch.
So fun to watch.
But they have one of the most creative offensive schemes, and they're bringing in Trayshawn Ward from Florida State, who is very underrated running back, deserves way more recognition for what he's capable of doing in an offense that is going to set him up for a lot of long, explosive runs. I also think that the biggest aspect of this is that Adrian Martinez was the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year, and the whole year I screamed about Adrian Martinez stinks. He shouldn't be the starting quarterback. They should go to the next guy on the roster. That next guy was Will Howard. Eventually, Adrian Martinez gets hurt. Will Howard takes over. They go in and win the Big 12 championship, and he is the most consistent guy that they've had since. His second year as a full-time starter this upcoming year. I have high expectations for Will Howard, former 4-star recruit, good football player. There is a lot around him. Their offensive line, I think, is the best in the Big 12. Cooper Beebe is an absolute dog. They're going to put up a fight with Texas, and I think that they face off with Texas in the Big 12 championship game, and they beat them because they're a better coach team.
I don't think. So let me start off here. Look, and I want, if you clip this, I want you to put the preface in all this too. Okay.
Okay.
Every time I come on here and every time we talk about the Big 12, every single time, everybody comes after me, Joe, and says, oh, Blake hates Texas. I don't hate Texas. I think they have a good fan base. No, I really don't. Like, truthfully, I don't. Even though I have this. We're back. Okay. No, you're not. But regardless, okay, at what point are we going to have to sit here as college football fans and say, you know what? Texas, although they might recruit good, when are they going to just actually stand up and do something? I don't think they're playing Texas in the Big 12. I actually trust Oklahoma a little bit more than I do Texas, like you mentioned. I think that they got some good pieces out of the transfer portal. I think Jaden Davis is a corner that can come in and Jaden Davis left. What the frick am I talking about? I think that Brennan Thompson's a guy that can come in and play the receiver somewhat quickly. They got Walter Rouse, the tackle from Stanford.
Very good player.
Very good player. I don't think Texas has the quarterback. I think that you have more of a veteran presence in the locker room, and I think you actually got a better coach team. I don't trust him. I do not believe in Sark. Joe, he's had 7 years to get to 10 wins. He hasn't done it anywhere. He is the most overhyped coach that I think that I've seen in quite some time. When is he going to get to 10 wins? And here's another thing. Everybody keeps saying, oh, wait for year 3. Yeah, wait for year 3. We weren't in a good place. Dog, neither was USC, UCLA when your boy Chip took over. Neither was LSU. I mean, at what point do they have to stand up and say to themselves, maybe we're not good?
How many times are we going to watch them pull big recruits, pull all the big name guys in the portal, and underperform? This roster is better than last year. I will admit this. This roster is better than last year. But
is it
really? Is what Tom Herman brought in?
Do they have a home run hitter named Bijan?
No, he's gone. But they do have a Donnie Mitchell that they went and got from Georgia.
So no Bijan.
They don't have Bijan, but they still have athletes at other positions, and their offensive line was young last year, and it was pretty good.
Cold butt-ass nude in a cold storm out in Alaska during the winter.
Look, bro, I'm not disagreeing with you.
12 and drops. Again, what win?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't disagree with you at all. When are we going to be honest with ourselves as members of the media in general is not honest with themselves, and Texas fans are not honest with themselves? If Sark hasn't been able to turn this thing around yet, I don't understand how 2023 is going to be any different.
Well, like I look for him, Joe. I'm looking for him because I accidentally clicked out. I'm looking for him in the transfer portal. They're at 52, okay? Now, they did get Adonai Mitchell, okay? The receiver from Georgia.
That was a big pull.
It was a big pull, okay? They really didn't do anything else. They lost Ovi and Gofu to LSU. They lost Carrick to Tennessee. They lost Jalen Catalon, or they added Jalen Catalon from Arkansas. But then you got another corner and another DB and Jameer Johnson that's going to Indiana. Like, they lost some guys, but at the bottom line, they're just replenishing. They're not getting better. Like, they're replenishing. They're not getting any better. They didn't go out in the portal outside of Donnie Mitchell and do anything worth a damn. And in today's day and age, Joe, whether you like it, love it, or hate it, you got to do things in the portal.
Yeah.
You got to do things in the portal to win. Bro, it would be Sark's first year winning 10 wins, and then you got Fisher and them, who are our colleagues, saying, is Brian Kelly on the hot seat if he doesn't get to 10 wins? What are you talking about? See, that's the big problem is that you have a fan base that, quite honestly, is so naive in who they are.
Delusional.
Delusional.
Y'all give ND fans crap, man. The Texas fan base is delusional.
No, at least you've been in the playoff.
There's too many casuals too. From that
you did
Texas
lose to
fan base.
Marshall, but
all right. Let's not. Look, Texas. We need to be honest with ourselves. It is going to be a Herculean task for them to overcome and get to the playoff and to win the Big 12. It is going to take a lot. Let me ask this before we do end. Do you think that any of the new teams, BYU, Houston, UCF, or Cincinnati, do you think if there is one of those 4 new teams that it finishes in the top 4, let's say top 4 of the Big 12, which of those teams do you think it could be? Because it's tricky because
off the cuff, not really digging into it like I want to. I like to say BYU because I think that BYU has had more of a track record of playing bigger teams at times. However, man, I don't know. UCF?
See, my thing with UCF is I'm not really like they don't. When they play hard teams, they get their asses kicked. They really get their asses kicked. They do have a good head coach.
Cincinnati doesn't have the head coach that led him to it.
No, I was going to say Houston. I mean, I think that Dana Holgerson's been recruiting really well in that region, and he had got some pretty good guys in the portal.
Like who?
I don't have
like
the list pulled up. All right, let me pull it up. I got it
right here. I'm looking for them.
They got a couple kids in the portal that they added.
They got 20 commits. Let's see who they got. Well, they lost all their top talent elsewhere. They got Ish Harris from A&M. Yeah.
One of their offensive linemen, Patrick Paul, is also a really good football player. Got really good grades from Blesto, which is the NFL scouting.
Donovan Smith from Texas Tech, the quarterback. Yeah.
No, not doing it for you.
No, not doing it for me. not doing it. I think we're not spending enough time on Texas Tech, if I'm being honest with you.
I want to get behind Texas Tech, and I've said this before. I really like Dre McCray, and I think that Dre McCray, who they got from Austin Peay, is going to explode this year. I think that they've got one of the best offensive coordinators in the country that isn't talked about enough. But like, who the hell is their quarterback, man? Like am I going to buy stock in that quarterback room? Like, that's where I have pause that I don't know if 2023 is the year that they put it together. Is Pistol Pete their guy? I don't know their mascot that well.
I don't know their mascot either.
Yeah.
You know what we should do?
Yeah.
One episode we should see how many mascots names we can
That's like a February episode.
Like Big Al, the Gator, who just got beat by Mike the Tiger in the College World Series.
And there's Big Red too from Western Kentucky.
What do they call your boy out in Nebraska? The big corn?
Oh, I got no damn idea what the hell that it's that the strange child with the overalls. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, and the shucker of corn.
Yeah, whatever the hell the Cornhusker.
Cornhuskers. God, they're going to be bad too. All right. Well, I don't know if we'll do a show tomorrow. Maybe we'll go Thursday or something, but we're getting back into it. We'll probably go tomorrow. Just no AYS, but all right, we'll talk about it. But we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow. Want to go tomorrow?
We'll talk offline.
All right.
We'll
See y'all
figure it
later,
out.
guys. Peace.